else to say it. If you would like to wear a mask because you believe it's going to save you or help you, or perhaps you're immunocompromised, you have the freedom to do that. And I hope people are not going to give you a hard time about it because they don't know what's in your life or in your situation. But if you do not want to wear a mask, or perhaps you are medically unable to wear a mask, don't worry about wearing one anymore. You do not have to. And yes, I know there's been questions about, well, or statements that, but private businesses can do whatever they want. They can tell you no shirt, no shoes, no service, no mask. I even saw a sign on a door that said that. They cannot do that. First of all, most of these, a vast majority of these businesses are doing this because of this executive order. When you are enforcing things upon the people, the customers, the clients that come into your doors as a business, because the government has told you so, because the government has said you must do this, well, then you are acting as an arm of the state. Then you are bound by all of the restrictions that apply to government because you're doing the government's dirty work. So of course you can't hide behind the whole I'm a private business thing. Now, let's say it's one of these few businesses that has tried to go with the, well, it's our company policy, right? Menards, for example. Does Menards have the right to tell a person in a wheelchair they're not allowed to come in their store because, you know, there might be all kinds of cooties and germs and things on the wheels of their wheelchair? Can Menards say to somebody, I don't like that your shirt says Donald Trump 2020 for president, keep America great, so you can't come into my store? Does the store have the right to do that? If you think the answer is yes to any of that, then you need to move to another country because that is not acceptable in the United States of America. So just to be exceedingly clear, God gave us our rights. And I don't care if you believe in God. That's not my problem. That's your problem. You'll have to answer that for someday. That's not a discussion here. What is important is that our state and federal constitutions and our Declaration of Independence, all three of them make it exceedingly clear that we get our rights from God, and we are preserving those rights in our state and federal constitutions. In fact, the only reason why we create government in the first place, as talked about in the Declaration of Independence and our state constitution and our United States Constitution, is to secure the blessings of freedom and liberty that God has given to us. So God gave us a whole bunch of freedom, and governments are instituted among men to secure those freedoms. That is the whole point of government. Government is not there just to keep us safe and protected and be our mommies. I have a mommy. Her name is Kim. Her name is not Gretchen. So, and by the way, I'm 37, so my mommy doesn't get to tell me what to do anymore. We are adults, we are human beings, and we are given freedom by God. And government cannot act, literally cannot do anything unless they have been given that specific authority to do so in either our state or federal constitutions. If those constitutions do not give the government the right to act, they cannot do so. Now, we as people, everyone kind of takes the notion that, well, and this is state legislators, other attorneys, business owners, the average Joe, everyone in every scenario has asked me over the last several months, well, Katherine, where does it say in the state laws or in our Constitution that I have the right to not wear a mask? Can you please tell me that so I could share it with people? First of all, we don't have to prove that we have the right to do anything. We are setting up our government to control the government to protect our rights, not to control us and protect the government's right to control us. No, we don't have to prove that we have the right to do something. God gave us those rights. Now, to be very clear, let's just look at the first 10 amendments, the first 14 amendments of the United States Constitution. Most of those are getting at the specific liberties that we as the people retain, even though we have instituted this government, right? And have this society. In fact, our rights that are being secured are those that we hold as individuals, not as a collective. So at any rate, despite all those individually enumerated rights, right? The right to bear arms, the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, right? So we have the Second Amendment and the Fourth Amendment, the right to due process and the Fifth and 14th Amendments. We have the right to free speech and free press and freedom of religion, the freedom to hold our governments accountable, and in the First Amendment of our United States Constitution. We have all kinds of rights, but let's not forget the right under the Ninth Amendment of our United States Constitution. That might be the most important of all. Why? Because it says God gave us a whole bunch of rights. We don't have to list them all. If we didn't list it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean that the government isn't supposed to be protecting it. The government still has an obligation to protect rights that we have been given by God, even if we don't enumerate those in the Constitution. Now, you may not like that clause. I didn't write it. It's in there. We're bound by it. In fact, if you have taken an oath of office anywhere in the executive, legislative, or judicial branches, Article 6 of our U.S. Constitution requires you to uphold that part of the Constitution, whether you like it or not.